okay. So apparently my keyboard's not behaving right now, but... fun. Anyway. Larka Arhana. We are gonna get into some more Spiritfarer today. I hope everyone's doing well. Hi, Kaiser. God, we're only 12% done with the game. Thank you for the kiss, Kaiser. Mwah. I can't believe we're only 12% done with this game. That just tells me that this game is very long. Okay. I think we left off where we were trying to find that one person's sibling. I live a simple life. Okay. The word moist should be outlawed. Alrighty then. Oh dear, lost at sea? He always does this. He always has an excuse. Last year it was a new girlfriend. The year before it was the bad economy. How can I be sure you're not some strange person he paid to invent a story? You might be relaxing in the sun somewhere. Here, give him this if you're telling the truth. Hopefully that snaps him out of it. Oh, okay. So why can I climb up here? I don't know why. No clue why I can climb up there, but okay. Now where can it be? Hi! Oh, what impeccable timing. I'm in dire need of assistance. I can tell from your friendly and familiar face that you are undoubtedly the helpful type. Listen, I'm looking to complete this set of 5 traditional wood prints. They date from the Ushiro period and as such are invaluable. I found 4 of them, but alas, last one eludes me. I'm certain it's in this very village. Furthermore, I'm absolutely positive that it was recently in possession of a local shopkeep, Theodore, but he refuses to even acknowledge its existence. What an irksome little man. Raccoon, Tanuki, whatever he is. He's related to Tom Nook. But with your help, yes, with that sweet little smile of yours, and generally non-threatening attitude, well, I'm sure you can schmooze your way into acquiring that last precious piece. That will be the last missing piece of this slippery puzzle. Well, go ahead, Skipper. I can wait. Ah! I want the thing, and it's locked! Oh, a visitor. Welcome to the world-renowned Fuagawa Tours. The tour will begin shortly. It takes about 5 minutes and covers a rich history of this city. After, you'll have so many anecdotes about this place, you'll be the life of the party if you ever attend one. Ready? Sure. Perfect. Let's start right away. To begin, a powerful symbol. Erected to keep the evil spirits away and bless this island for future generations. You can sometimes see the islanders stop by this tree in the middle of their journey home. Maybe to remind themselves of a lost brother, their sick child, past lovers. Legend does say they have heard it talk sometimes. Another piece of this island's rich culture. I personally have never experienced loss. Some say I always think of my personal problems, never thinking of others. Well, no matter, as long as I can carry on during these tours. I'm trying to give a tour! Please stop that! Since it's a vibrant city, we have a raccoon ink location, considered by most to be the finest source of materials and wares. It is also coincidentally the only merchant business in town. Founded by Theodore Raccoon, these shops are a staple of a thriving economy. Fun little fact, anyone who joins Raccoon Ink must legally change their name to Theodore. Oh. I suppose it's a way to honour their founder, truly a sign of devotion. I myself do not shop at this particular establishment. I make my own clothes and furniture. This isn't particularly noteworthy, but it is a small tidbit in your tour guide life. Okay. He has the meats! Ooh, leek seed. Apple seed. Rice! Will you buy attraction? Are you interested in some specialized items? Oh, a wood print, you say? Yes, yes, I know it. It's not in my special stock for eternity. And then suddenly everyone was looking for it. At first it was this pedantic person, very rude. And worse, they were haggling on everything. I didn't even tell them of the print, gave them some junk instead. And then later this giant walrus lady came in and demanded that I sell it to her. The thought crossed my mind to start a bidding war, but she offered me some serious coin for it. That lady, let me tell you, she was loaded. Anyway, that's all I know about it. I can't help you with the print, but feel free to browse my wares. Here. This shrine was built using only the finest metals. From the ashes of the past Guardian Tower, these shrines tell the story of our past. Our story is, give me a second, I'm not sure actually. Which is why it's so important. In my forgetfulness, I remember the purpose of this shrine. The moral being, of course, always remember your heritage. A powerful thought. Let's move on. No, I'm not moving. Give me my new power. Whee! We're in the air, hold A to glide. Oh, cool. This concludes our tour. For our Guild Tours is grateful for your participation. Thank you for your ears and your patience. Thank you again. A gratuity is expected if you enjoyed the tour. Does 50 glims sound fair? Sure. Amazing. I knew you had an educational spirit. Thank you for believing in my teaching aptitudes. Woo! Look at me go! There's a reason for it, too. Up we go! Hi! I never want to go back home. Being here is sublime. If you want to stay at my place, you're more than welcome. Here's my key. If the door stays jammed, you just have to give it a good tug. It always gets stuck. I want to enjoy this view forever. Well, I got the key to the house. Hi there. I should get back to it. No, thank you. I don't want to buy your magazine subscription or whatever you're selling. I'm not, but okay. Where is that child? I've been looking for him all over. He's been acting all sorts of strange. I think he must have eaten a bad fruit or something. If you see him, tell him his mother is looking for him. Don't mention that I'm extremely mad. Okay? I won't. I won't mention that the mother's extremely mad. Woo! Okay. Got some new stuff. Very good. Ah, you're back. Did you manage to get the missing print? No, it was already sold, but how? Wait, is there a competing art collector roaming about? A walrus lady, you say? Of course it was her. Oh, that horrid woman. That dim-witted, egotistic, patronising charlatan. Damn. She calls herself the collector, if you can believe it. She doesn't even collect anything. Oh, I'm sure she's bought the print only to spite me. I should have never told her about my collection. That ugly ass sack. Wow! Oh my goodness! Well, I'm not one to wave away competition. The ugly witch is in hiding from you. I don't specifically know why, but the news of a new Spiritfarer made her skitter away like a puny cockroach. How fitting. Yes, you're the Spiritfarer. Tell me something I don't know. She should have known better than to tell me the location of her hideout, though. She's hiding at these coordinates. -150, 150. Pay her a visit, would you? And when you see her, show her this figurine. She'll know. Believe me, she'll know. This, oh, don't worry. It's just some junk Theodore gave me. Wow. Such words. Goodness. Calling her an ugly sack face. Like, wow. Those are some insults, alright. it's too late in the day to do anything now. Letter from Albert's. Dear valued customer, we're running a special promotion endorsed as a new type of building, all part of our new fun-tacular series, an air draft device. We hope you enjoy your time soaring through the air. Albert, your local shipwright. To Simon, you idiot. Simon, this young lady told me of your misfortunes. You must either be the most unlucky person in the world, or you truly don't want to see your family. Enclosed is my address. Don't get lost this time. Your sister, Agatha. Planting leeks now because that's what I've got to plant. There's a leak in the barn! Okay, that was a bad joke. I'm sorry. No, I'm not. I'm not sorry. Thank you for the head pats. You should know I'm not sorry about the joke. Now we sleep. Our coordinates. Alright, my keyboard's not working right now. 4. Where's that guy? He's all the way over there. Oh, right. Okay. We're here. Don't know what this is, so we'll go there. I guess when I have to run ads next, I'll try and fix my keyboard. Since it's decided it doesn't want to work. Ah! Where'd it go? I saw the thing and it disappeared. Where'd it go? Where did you go? Where'd you go? I saw you. Where did it go? I saw it. It was on my ship. It was an isopod. And then the isopod disappeared. Isopod, come back.
Oh.
Ah. No isopod. Okay. Nebula pillbox. Nebula fiber. Isopod, where did you go? Be it, dear. You know what would be nice? Something to eat. Yeah. Okay, I don't want to pet the cat. I want to find the ice pod. Where the flip did it go? Oh, this is maddening. Okay, fine. I can't find it. That's the quartz dragon. Seki Quarry. Let's go to Quarry. Goodbye, isopod. Since you don't want me to see you. Even though I saw you on the deck of the ship, and then you just decided, nah, fuck off. What does that even mean, Kaiser? Okay. Air draft. I need nebula fabric and iron ingots. I need slate for Astrid's bungalow. I need nebula threads for an orchard. I need a bunch of shit for the sheep corral. Can I build the foundry? Well, yes, I can. Do you have enough space for the foundry, at least? Simply beautiful. Do you feel that heat, Munchkin? Do you smell these fragrances of molten metals and heavy machinery? This is where magic happens. We are going to make some beautiful things in here. Let's go inside so I can explain how it works. Okay, we have an ad break. I'm going to pause here. I have to manually run ads, and I will see everyone on the other side. and welcome back from ads, Ohana. Let's get back into this. What's a machine? Oh my. Stella, this is the this is a first class foundry you've got here. Even I myself couldn't have done better. Simply stunning. Let me run you through the basics. This is a complex machine and you have to be careful around it. First you have to load ore in the furnace. Then you have to throw coal in the burner to power it. The machine will then reach its working temperature. Then whatever ore you've deposited into the furnace will be smelted into ingots. The bellows on each side of the furnace will make the heat go up. Each metal will behave differently, but once the right temperature is reached, the fusion starts. You'll have to make sure the temperature remains at the right level. Below it, the process simply stops, and above it, well, you don't want to see this happen, Munchkin. And that's all. And that's it. I've told you all you need to know. Have at it. Okay. Oh, this is another one where you have to focus. Great work. Oh, Stella, how I wish all the metal workers I've met were as gifted as you are. You look so small and weak, yet you danced around this smelter like a veteran forge master. I'm so proud of you. This is a splendid machine, and I'm sure you'll put it to good use. I'll even indulge myself and use it from time to time if you're okay with that. Okay. Man, this isn't too difficult. Definitely easier than the wood cutting. That's for sure. So you can... Oh, okay. So you can make the bottles into glass. Ah, interesting. The more you know. Oh, how about a meal, Stella? I am starving. Okay, you don't want the veggies. Do you want popcorn? There you go. More rice. Give the rice some water. And then we'll water the leeks. Dang, the wind outside the spaceship is insane. I just hope... I'm not gonna even say it. I'm just gonna say everything's gonna be okay. Thank you for the drink, Kaiser. Ooh, mushroom! I have no idea what I'm just lighting lights, don't mind me. Oh! Slate! Okay. Hi! It's my first day on the job. I have no idea what I'm doing. No one is training me. The place is falling apart. I'm picking up some ore. You want food? Thank you, Munchkin. Ah! I failed. There we go. What is with the glowing lights? Oh. Ah. Okay, what is this? I'm guessing maybe I can walk on the rope at some point. Back to work, I suppose. Flashbanged by the orb, yeah. Orb kind of bright. Yeah, you will get flashbanged. Alright, you got to get it together, Gregory. This is your day. Today is all about digging. Any problems you have, leave it at the door. This is a new day. Big breath. You got this, Gregory! I believe in you! My manager's really stressed out. He told me to be quiet today. I shouldn't even be talking to you. When you don't see the sun, you can imagine it's always noon. That's what my boss says at meetings. Fair. Getting a lot of ore, though. So this is kind of nice. Management is coming today. I've got to make a good impression. I've been practicing my business face and all. Hopefully they don't notice me in all this darkness. From this mine to the boardroom. Moving on up. Well, I've got news for you. I'm lighting up the mines. Sorry. I can't do that. I feel bad now. They're like, I don't want anyone to notice me in the dark. Well, oopsie. No. There we go. Bunch of iron ore. Mushroom! Oh, there's one of these thingies! Patch! Oh, God! Oh! Old ass meme. Thank you, Kaiser. For the old ass meme. Field upgrade. Heck yeah. What, Kitty? Kitty was like, hey. I'm guessing that I am gonna have to come back here at some point. And I'll take that extra coal, thank you. It's time for bed. We were at the mines so long. It's bedtime. The children yearn for the mines. Let's see. Cook that stuff. And we will water the lakes again. Good morning. Or we have rice. More rice. The snake is playing music to the leeks. I don't know why, but the snake is playing music to the leeks. You know what? I'm not gonna question it. If that's what makes the snake happy, then do it. Oh, I didn't realize I had stuff to make in here. Okay. Oh, shit. I ruined it. Soiled it. Soiled it. How could I do this? I will never be allowed to work in the factory! Iron ore, yes. How will I ever face the workers of the foundry now? I burnt glass! For shame! I must change my name and move to another ship. So iron takes a lot longer to need any kind of air in it. That's interesting. I'm gonna have to chart a course for somewhere. I don't know where though. Alright, iron. keep your smelting. Keep your smelts on. That doesn't work. No. I just realised what I said doesn't really work. Well, got a good bit of iron. What are you thinking?
Oh.
Yes, I know you want pork chops. I can't make them. Dang, this is still isn't done cooking. Okay. Empty shells. More map. Let's go to Mount Toriyama. Let's go see what that's all about. Lakes! We have lakes! Are you gonna hop up on the deck again? I don't want to miss it if it does. Watch my luck, the thing will hop up on the deck again when I'm in here, and I'll miss it. Okay. That's almost done. Kaiser! Wow! Oi, oi, oi! Can't take you nowhere! Oh, we made it to make Toriyama! Seriously? You had to make that kind of a comment. What am I gonna do with you? Okay, this should almost be done, and then I can go explore Mount Toriyama. Mushroom salad! Let's go explore the mountain. Let's go see what's here. Sheep! Ah! Nothing back here. Big old fluffy sheep. Oh! Hi! Oh, hello there, young lady. How are you doing? Oh, yes, right. Perhaps you can help me. You must have stumbled upon a fluffy sheep on the loose out there. I tried to get it back at its enclosure, but the stubborn creature wouldn't listen to me. Chances on your side. Its weak spot is its gluttony, so it will definitely follow anyone who would feed it. Would you be in there and give it a try? Seriously, dragon? Seriously? Hi, dragon. How are you? Where did the sheep go? Sheep. Here. You want carrot? Got a sheep! I have a sheep now. What do I do with it? What am I supposed to do with it? What am I supposed to do with you? Gave you a carrot and now you love me. How great, it's following you. Now just lead it to the enclosure next to the pier. Or follow me, I'm going there. Come on, sheepy! Goodness. Oh, what a nice sheep. It followed you all the way to its home. Always following your stomach, aren't you, little guy? Tee-hee, my sons were just like that. Don't you think it looks lonely? Maybe that's why it left. I'm going to keep it company, don't worry, but maybe. Well, if you found another stray sheep, you could bring it back here, they could entertain each other. Well, if it's not too inconvenient for you. Oh, I'm Alice, by the way. Very nice meeting you. Yes, it's a sheep. So I have to go get another one and bring it back here for Alice. And then I guess I get Alice on the ship. Ooh, more coal. I think that's all that's gonna be in here is coal. No, that's slate, okay. No, this Alice likes the ship, it's just... she wants you to complete a quest to get her on the ship, which is fine. I mean, it can't be that easy to get everyone on the ship. Would make it so that the game had nothing playable, really. Ooh! Opal and apple seed. Okay. Very nice. And that just brought me back down here. Which I fucking... okay. I need to go back up because I didn't see that thing on the roof. Ooh, what are you? No! I failed. Ooh, copper, okay. Go up. I'm glad I came back. Almost missed that. And I saw that I can go higher, so we're gonna go higher. Oh no, we can't. Okay, so that was it. Okay. Thought you could go higher, but I guess not. I want to land on the house. No! Damn it! Overshot it. And need to land directly on that roof. If I don't, I can't get the item that's on the roof. And that could be a blueprint. And I want the blueprint. Should be right about here, maybe. Bingo! It was not, it was citrine, but that's okay. I will still take that. Hope everyone's having a good Thursday. Anyone get up to anything exciting this week? We had snow. Yeah. I know that's why they're normally, because they're normally on blue paper, but it's kind of changed over the years. Now I've seen blueprints on like white paper and stuff too. Cook some more food while we go to bed. No, we won't burn the ship down, I promise. Check on the food. Oh, it's almost done! Well, that works. Good morning. You want some food? I know you want a cabin, okay. Chill. I will get your cabin. Grain salads. Very nice. So we're learning things. I can make her bungalow. She can stop harassing me for it now. I need oak planks to make the sheep corral. Okay. Trail mix here, basically. I mean, I like trail mix. I also like stuff with like stuff on like rice and stuff. Like rice can be a really good addition to a dish if you use it properly. Perfect. Stella, you've got to be kidding me. This house is just fantastic. You know I love simple things that make me feel good and warm inside. What can I say? I just don't like when it's too complicated or luxurious. I just don't. That's who I am. I've always been like that as far as I can remember. When I was young, many of my friends were pretty rich and famous. You know, artists, philosophers, sports athletes. I've always attracted the finest people. What can I say? But it didn't mean a thing back then and still doesn't up to this day. That's probably why I ended up marrying Giovanni. He was so simple yet so elegant, so genuine but also fun and unpretentious, and he didn't have a dime to his name. Still doesn't, I guess. Okay, I've got to admit, I think I miss him. I know I shouldn't. I know he's a worthless riffraff. I know he probably doesn't give a shit about me now, but I just can't forget about him. Hey Munchkin, do you think you could check the mail? Maybe Olga has written to us about him, as she said she would. I would be so grateful if you did. Thanks a lot, Stella. I won't forget this. Alright, where's Snakey? Because I have, gems to give Snakey. Snakey, are you in your house? No. Where's Snakey? Oh, there's Snakey. There you go.
Oh, an opal. A burning stone of passion and love. The stone of seduction, which resonates with burning desires and releases inhibition, but stabilizes emotions as well. In other contexts, opal also brings about loyalty and faithfulness.
And I have another thing for the snake, which is amethyst.
An amethyst. What a treat. Amethysts are healing stones, you know. Ailments, emotional issues, nightmares, and other afflictions can be cured with the power of amethyst. They're great to balance chakras as well, specifically the crown chakra. Stella, and with that last gem, my basic medicine cabinet is complete. If you were to add a little table or altar to my meditation room, well, you can come and admire it at any time. In any case, I am truly grateful for all your help. You were always, after all, a radiating presence, a beacon of light. Stella, I hadn't planned on it, but I think I have something more important to teach you. But our next class, well, we'll have to leave the boat for it. I've heard of a nice spot in Mount Toriyama on a cliff overlooking the horizon. I think it would make for a nice classroom. I'm ready when you are. Just set sail.
I mean, I don't think she was ungrateful. She was very grateful, I think. I only have maple, so I've got to go get oak. Okay. I don't have pork chops! Stop asking me for them! I wonder where Gwen could be. Maybe she took a trip to clear her head. You should look for your friend, Stella. Yeah, I don't know where the fuck Gwen is. Because I haven't seen her in a few days. But there are people who believe in that kind of stuff, and you know what, that's absolutely okay if they do. And you shouldn't fault someone for believing in something.
Rose. When I was healed, I didn't go back to my old life, the ways of poison and hatred. Rose had reminded me of my youthful love. Unintentionally, she had unveiled my eyes. I sold everything I owned, took every dirty penny I had ever earned, bought a plot of remote land and started anew. And listened to the hidden songs of nature. And you listen, Stella, really listen. The plants tell you all sorts of things. What they like, what they need, who they love. Some call it biodynamic farming. I call it listening to the universal chant. I carved this little nest in the middle of the woods, and when it finally responded, the flowers and trees and the birds started flourishing, stronger than they ever could with a touch of poison. On the day of the solstice, when the hill was emerald green, well, that's when I asked her to marry me.
Mine is citrine. Also topaz. You can use any topaz as the alternate.
We're here. What a nice, quaint place. And the view, well, it can't be beaten, can it? Yes, this will be perfect. I see a little promontory up on that cliff there. Just go ahead. I'll meet you there. How'll I do it? Ha! Don't worry, I'm sure I'll manage to snake my way up.
As if Dragon didn't write that pun. tell me you didn't write that one! I'm glad I was already here. Makes it so much easier.
I haven't lost my touch, have I? I might be old, but I still have a few tricks up my sleeve. And beating younglings in a climbing race has always been a specialty of mine. But enough of this, let's focus on the matter at hand. This lesson, as you might have guessed, will be a little special. Up to now, we focused on the proper care of plants and crops. Well, now I think it's time to concentrate on the proper care of one's mind. Sunlight and music were the tools of the former. Well, for the latter, our tool will be the act of meditating. And that's specifically why I brought you here. See this boulder? It hasn't been consecrated for nothing. Powerful spiritual energies flow through the area. I know, it might seem strange. Occult, even, but just humor me. First things first, sit down next to me, just like this. Alright, your turn.
How do I sit? Oh. Just have to sit and poke the rock.
Meditation, Stella, is an affair of wholeness and oneness. A lot of novices believe that wrongfully that meditating is the pursuit of an empty mind. But the mind is not empty, Stella. It is a beast, savage and untamed.
You can say that again.
Violent and caring.
Say that again.
Loving and destructive.
Do I have to repeat myself?
Hateful, curious, scared. Ball of frayed nerves.
Really speaking to the masses here.
Much like the dragon, it cannot be controlled. It must be allowed to roam free. My father also lived with this tormented creature. Of a different kind, perhaps. He chose to fight it. Tried to muscle it down into submission. Smart it under the auspice of violence. And mostly, to silence it. He thought that nothingness was the solution. The dragon is indomitable. The fight left my father a broken man. Let your mind wander, Stella. Gently, like you would a scared kitten. Let it smell the grass. Let it notice the wind blowing through your hair. The heat radiating from the stone behind you. The rhythmic breaking of the waves below. Let your spirit penetrate all things, not to make them yours, but to make yourself theirs.
Ugh. Thank you for the posture check and the drink.
Be one and be whole.
It's meant to be silent if you're not the one leading the meditation. Typically the one leading the meditation will say things.
But keep being.
And back to the ship for sleepies.
There you are. Seems like my lesson had quite the influence. You were up there for hours. I just had to stretch my legs at some point.
What legs? You're a snake! Snakes don't have legs!
Oh, what are you saying? A vision? Of course. You're the Spiritfarer after all. The mystical energies of this world are bound to affect you in mysterious ways. I'm sure there are other areas of such power. If you find them, be sure to take the time to meditate. Perhaps more visions will rain down upon your mind. You know, Stella, while you were up there, I tried to do some thinking. I wanted to prepare for our next lesson. There's still so much to teach, but I couldn't think. My mind was uneasy. You see, I too have had a vision, a gift from the universe. It's the dragon, Stella. I have felt him creeping slowly towards me. I thought I had some grand purpose to accomplish before he would swallow me whole. Now I realize that the dragon hasn't crept much at all. He's kept up with me for quite a while now, and ignoring it won't do me any good. Well, let's go, shall we?
I want to know how the snake walked. With, like, said it had legs. I'm sure they probably did at one point, but they don't now. And this one certainly doesn't. Because this one's a ball python. So it certainly doesn't have legs. Grab those off the ship, and I have no fucking idea where Gwen went. Kalkstein Mines. Let's go to the crates. Why not? You want something to eat? Do you want grain salads? There you go. You're hungry. Grain salad. There you go. Oh, shit! I should have been reading this. Sorry. I was just trying to see if the snake needed food. Oh, so the snake's favorite food is grain salad. Okay, got it. Apologies, I did not read what the snake said. Anything else in here? I'm trying to see if there's anything else before we move on. No. I've got to put food in food to cook. I totally forgot. I'm like, why is there smoke coming from there? Iwashima countryside. More crates. Let's go to the countryside. I'm gonna try and cut these logs as best I can. Yeah, that wasn't that great. Ah, well. Because I've got to get the sheep pen so I can go get that other character. And I need 16 oak planks for that character. Perfect. We're here. Let's see if he's around. Oh, we're gonna go find Giovanni. And then I'll take this stuff out for right now. Since we're gonna go look for Giovanni. I'm coming. No mushroom. Okay, there's got to be something else I'm gonna get skill-wise. Oh lord, that's bad! Dragon! And thank you for the face squish, Kaiser. Shit! Okay, I almost had it. All of a sudden, her letter that Giovanni could have been around. Knowing him as I do, I have my doubts. He wouldn't linger in a place like this, but who knows? Maybe if I ask around, you might find a clue or two. I'll leave you to it. I don't want to go too far. The humidity here is killing me. Go, go. I'll trust you'll find interesting stuff. Who? I don't remember his name. That night didn't call for names, if you know what I mean. I do remember his legs, though. Oh, brother. Wait, he has a wife? He didn't say anything about it. He did say that he was going to Furugawa. Well, if you ever meet up with him, tell him that Eileen misses him. I could spit off tall buildings forever, on the off chance that I might hit someone right in the head. I seem to never run out of spit. The small bridge is very high up, and nobody ever swims down there. Still, it's pretty satisfying to spit. I'm fully equipped. I've got my mouth, I've got my bottle of water. I'm ready, and I've got the spirit to do it for years. Wow, that's kind of gross, but okay, sir. Look at all these trees! Strawberries! Limestone! And copper! And I can't go any further! Bleh. Can I give you a hug? Yay! I like the hugs! It's my favourite part. Bummer. He was here, you say, and he met someone? No, don't tell me. I don't want to know. Okay, maybe I do, but just a tiny bit. Only where he went. Furugawa, you say? Ooh, blanky time. I think I know where that is. I've heard it's a lovely place. Well, at least it's what the brochure said. I've always loved these colourful flyers. They make you travel without leaving your seats. Alright, Munchkin, let's check it out. Oh, come on! Ah! I want that piece up there, and I'm not gonna stop till I get it. Oh, fuck. Fucking hell, come on. No, no. gonna stop. And I got it. I feel achieved, and I feel accomplished now. Why mention about the bridge if you can't swim to it? So I have to go back to Furugawa, is what you're telling me? Go to the crates first, I think. Because I really want to get stuff from the crates. Very useful to go and get stuff out of those crates because they usually have pretty good stuff in them. While I'm on my way to doing that, got some wood. Okay, that was a real fail. I am no good at the wood cutting minigame. I am learning that the hard way. What does this box have? Apple, rice, leek, or empty bottle. Flakes. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking pork chops. I know what he's thinking. He's thinking pork chops. It's all he thinks of. It's all he harasses me about now. He's pork chops, pork chops, pork chops. I can build the sheep corral. Here, have some squid. Since you're like the only one who will eat half this shit. Going to the fields because there's sheep there. But it's not gonna let us get very far. mean, we might make it, but I won't be able to do any exploration until tomorrow in-game. Which is fine. Well, I guess I could go and come back. Food will be fine, right? I'm not coping.
You said such intriguing things about this toy. Well, I just had to try it for myself, and this place, how nice and serene it is. You know what? I feel strangely at home here, as if I'd already walked these woods. Perhaps in another life.
I'm not doing the tour today, madam. I'm here for a sheep. And the trees. I'm here for the resources, pretty much. No! Don't want to miss the mushroom. Where's that sheep? There you is. Would you like a carrot? Thank you for the head pats. I now have a sheep. I've acquired a sheep. Come on, sheepy! Sheep, come on. Move that fluffy butt. Move your fluffy ass, sheep. Let's go. We're moving. Bye. Look, I have a sheep. I have another pet! On my ship! And since we have to sleep, and ads are doing 8 minutes, I'm gonna pause here, I'm gonna run ads, and I'll see everyone on the other side. Welcome back from ads. Oh, Hannah, let's get back into this, shall we? Our food is done. What did we make? Fish curry. Lovely. You hungry, sheepy? No, you're not hungry. Nah. Let's see. There's Francis. Mate took Yama's where the sheep needs to go, so we're going past Francis. Let's cook the mussels and the pork. Yeah. Off we go! I want my stuff. Ooh, a lettuce seed and a tea seed? Ooh, that's no. I love how the cat is just so terrified. Hi, Lexi. How are you? That should be good to go. Tea seeds. I'm sorry you're sick. I hope you get better soon. Take care of yourself, okay? Oh my goodness, please do take care of yourself. That's not good.
My friend!
Our company with the best boot railways. Welcome in, Ravers. My name is Stitch. I am your friendly alien demon here on Twitch. I am also best friends with the Mothman. And I also use exclusively they, them pronouns. Yes, Britt. How you doing, Britt? Long time no see. And thank you for the raid. Thank you for trusting me with your community. If you've got to raid and run, I understand. Ay. Builds? Okay, so I don't have nebula threads. That's not what I want to do. I want to improve. I need bright jelly and maple planks. Okay. Oh, I didn't do too bad on that one. Why are the maple planks easier to cook? What the heck? I think Brit has a rated run. thank him privately for the raid, though. Thank you for getting that shout out, Kaiser. Odd. I wonder where Gwen could be. Maybe she took a grip to clear her head. You should look for your friend, Stella. I will! Shut up, lady! I don't know where she went, though. I guess Brit had to ride and run because of the fact that he's not saying anything. What? No! There, I made these for you, Munchkin. Oh! Thank you! It's like, what did she fucking want now? God! Hey, you want some food? Have some coffee. See, it's Gwen's not around. I don't mind the lurk. I figured you had to raid and run. Thank you for it, though. Do appreciate it. Woo! Good job. You brought a second sheep. Oh, look at them. They'll be so happy together. Oh, they're acting kind of coldly. That's surprising. Well, they just have to get to know each other. I'm sure they'll be the best of friends in no time. As for me, well, it was nice feeling needed. What? You want me to join you on your travels? Oh, no. No. I couldn't possibly impose myself on all of you. Besides, I'm sure there's no room for me. For sure, this island is a little bare, but I'm sure a little house can fit quite nicely here. A little bungalow with nice vines, potted flowers maybe, with pale tones and a cozy cottage facade. Only green window shades. Oh, that would be so wonderful. Oh, sorry, I was lost in my thoughts. No, you go ahead. I'll be just fine here. So I have to put her cottage on the goddamn shit before she'll come and join me. Ridiculous! All right. Well, since I'm here, I want to see if I have the stuff to make it first. If I don't, then... Nope. I need linen, thread, and oak plank. Okay. I can do that. This is like the easiest one to do in terms of the mini games for creating stuff. Because it really doesn't require much attention. You just gotta make sure you don't go past the yellow marker in the middle there. Which is nice.
Getting chilly. I'm getting cold all of a sudden. I think I might just be growing a bit tired. Maybe I'm not rested enough yet. I'll just take a little bit of time and then we can continue our lesson. I'm excited about the next steps. You're making some fantastic progress, honeybee. Don't give up.
You hungry? Okay, you're not hungry. It said art, if memory serves, for her cottage. That and I just finished one with no problems. I'm no good at it. I really am not. what you're thinking. You're thinking pork chops. Alice's cottage could fit right in there. If I edit... Move the sheep there. And there goes Alice's cottage. I can improve Summer's Sanctuary. I can improve a tools workshop. I need fire glow for the hanging lights. Bright jellies for the fields. You know what? I'm not gonna question it. We're just gonna say the sheep can, okay? We're gonna say the sheep are fine. They can fly. Right? Right? What? You built a house for me? You shouldn't have, really. Well, since it's there, well, I guess it'd be rude of me not to move in. Thank you so very much, sweetheart. Woo! It's fine, right? We can just... have them fly, right? Oh, back so soon. I'm always happy to see you, sweetheart. But don't let me hold you back from your adventures. I mean... the game is about sparing souls, so... I'm gonna say the sheep would be fine. Little one? What is this? Oh, a little ceremony? Alright, I'll try to do my best. She's a hedgehog! She's a little hedgehog! Oh my god, she's so cute! Oh, this is really pleasant. Soft as a waffle and warm as a pie. I feel young again. Thank you so much for having found me, young one. Don't you worry about me now. I'll find my way around. She's so cute! Oh my god! Oh, that was very nice, thank you. Ah! I love her. I'm keeping her. Are you kind? Would you look at that, Stella? This little sheep wanted to come with us. I guess it didn't like its new companion very much after all. Well, not worry, we'll take good care of you. But first, this one looks quite uncomfortable, doesn't it? And, oh no, we're on a boat. It's like that story with the flock of sheep that fell off a boat. Oh, we can't have that. Go ahead, Stella. Shear the wool right off its back. It's for the best. Oh my god, the sheep's face! The sheep's face was like, what the fuck are you doing? Oh my god. That was so good. Oh, I love that. Sheep not happy about being naked. I can't with the face they make. It's so good. mind if I do. Want corn? Meh. Well, we can't go anywhere now. I have another sheep on the boat, and it's just kind of wandering around the boat. You good, Harvey? Okay. Sheep's good, I guess. I'm not gonna question it. Much better. Well, aren't you feeling better? And it's much safer too. And that key, I thought I had lost it. But it was stuck in your thick coat all this time. What a treat. And as for you, Stella, I know you'll find a good use for all this extra wool. It's one of my favourite materials. I chose it exclusively for all of my blankets. My husband, of course, always thought they were scratchy. He was such a grump. Anyway, the sheep's wool will grow back very quickly, but only if it's well fed. And this one seems to have quite a large appetite. I suggest you diligently feed him. Otherwise, he might get into your garden and destroy your crops. Oh, imagine building a sheep corral to keep him in place. You should probably do that as soon as possible, but for the good of the sheep and out of your crops. You hungry? Do you like paella? Oh, no, I don't know. It seems so exotic, so different from what I know. I don't think I could eat that. Sorry, Stella. Okay, so you don't like paella. It's exotic. Do you like grain salad? Oh, thank you. I was getting quite hungry. Okay, so you like grain salad. Fair enough. Stop talking about pork chops! Him talking about pork chops is gonna drive me insane. I guess we have to go find Gwen. Because Gwenny be a missing. Be a dear, you know what would be nice? Something to eat. Here, popcorn. I'm missing some rare chests on Mount Toriyama. Okay, the mines keep popping up, so I guess we're going to the mines. Because children yearn for the mines. I apologize if you hear a train. Shit! Unfortunately, my spaceship is parked near train tracks, and there's nothing I can do. Yeah, I got a boat. I got a boat! No? I can't help you. Sorry. I don't even know how I'd help. Oh, right. I have to go. I can't go any further. You got planks, okay? Right, I can't go. Look, the sheep can jump, okay? The sheep's got hops for days. I just saw that sheep hop. So are you asking me how I can get up and I got hops? There's your answer. Wood lettuce. Now you know the secret of the sheep. They got hops for days, and that's how they get up there. Trying to figure out what to do here. Okay, that's the wool thread made. Now, I could make another crow. What do I need to make another crow? Copper and oak, okay. Oh, great! The onion sloth is back! It sounds like... That sloth onion is crazy. Traveler? You're not a sloth onion! You're a seal! A green seal! Welcome to one of my famous bus stops. I found them. They're mine. All mine. My name is Alex. It's a beautiful name. The best name. But don't call me Alexander. Bleh. It's a garbage name. Garbage name for garbage people. Where was I? Oh, yes. I'm Alex, and I'll be your bus driver. I wasn't always a bus driver. Before I wasn't accountant. Numbers were my shame, and taking you places is my game. Choo-choo! I like Alex! No, wait, that's a train. There's a bus stop, and I'm your driver. Wanna go somewhere? My name is Alex, and I'm your bus driver. Where do you wanna go? I like him! Oh my god! I like the nutty seal! time for garbage people. Oh, this game just keeps on giving, doesn't it? Oh, he's got silly music that he plays. Oh, I love him. Bye, Alex! You're fantastic! Oh, I wish I could take Alex with me. Great. Note to self, use the bus stop more often, it's fun. Don't know how to say that name. So I'm not gonna try, so don't butcher it. There, corrals for 2 sheep. Perfect! Hi! Oh, wait 1 second. I don't have a joke for the loom yet. I might have one soon. It's coming. I can feel it looming over me. No. I need the icebreaker. I need a spirit flower, more iron ingot, oak plank, and linen fabric. 9 iron ingot and 10 wool fabric. Okay. No clue where to get a spirit flower. You hungry? Yeah, you're hungry. Have a carrot. You hungry? No, you're good. Make this wool. And we'll head to Olga. work on my arc logs. Well, the arc planks, rather. I do wish I could stop it if I need wanted to. Okay, I can actually stop it. Okay. Didn't think I could. I have an idea, Sprout. I've been looking at my house. It's a little bare bones. As an amateur handyman, this doesn't work at all. Maybe we should improve it. Add a few bells and whistles. Find out what exactly. Let me have a look. Follow me. Look at that. You've already started with the improvements. Carry on. Alright. You know what my house needs? A desk and some tools. Yeah, that's it. I know we don't have a lot of space on this boat. This is kind of becoming a dream scenario of mine. My bed next to my tools. It'll be like I'm living a fantasy. I could work on my own projects. Maybe build something for my daughter, Ashley. Yeah, what's the use, right? It's not like I'm ever going to see her again. I should stop daydreaming about it. I'm just trapped here. You know what's not funny? I can't even remember her face. So let's just get that desk and I'll figure out what to make later. Okay, that just made me really fucking sad. Why did you have to do that, Froggy? That's not fair. I have no idea where Gwen would have gone. I don't think she would have gone back to the house. At least I don't think she would have gone back to that house. Plant the rice seeds. I'm stupid, I forgot to hit the bell. Oh, sheepies grow wool. Nice. Oh god, that face. Have a carrot. The face on these guys is never gonna get old when you're shearing them. Have a carrot. Good morning. And I'm gonna give you mushroom salads. Get the stop on the turtle. I failed that one. Copper. Alright. Let's put coal in here. Arc here. Are you all done there? Alright, I'll see you later then. I wonder what Gwen could be. I don't know! Stop asking me. South Point Docks. Let's go there. Because it's new. Part of them asking me where she is, I don't know. If I knew, it wouldn't be a mystery, would it? I fished up a necklace. Someone lost a necklace? No. No. No, red. No, red. I found a soul. Alright, which one of you gave me your soul? Because I just fished it up. No raids. No raids. Oh, cod. Ooh, now that it's raining, I might be able to get some fish that I haven't gotten yet. That's not a fish, that's a vase. Or a vase. Depending upon who you ask. So I can't go this way either? No. Huh. Alrighty. Well, that takes care of that. That's gonna be another upgrade to the boat. Oh, you want me to do lightning in a bottle, do you? Let's go! This is gonna be a lot different. Oh, I missed that one! Shit. I'm missing all of that damn. Some of them at least. guessing Gwen went somewhere I can't get to. Because that's like the only... That's honestly the only thing I can think of, is that Gwen went somewhere I can't get to yet. Where's Summer? Have you seen Summer today? I think she didn't get up this morning. That's all. She's usually up at first light. Something seems wrong with her house. Maybe Albert the shipwright could help us? Oh no! Summer? Summer? Oh. Well, that worries me. Summer's my favorite character. Oh, Summer's gonna be okay. I really hope Summer's okay. I made a cup of tea. Once we talk to Weird Onion Sloth, I'm going right to Albert. You want copper ingots for a treasure map? Make the copper ingot real quick and give it to him because I'd like to get that treasure map. That's the wrong one. Just gotta keep an eye on this. There we go. Almost done. I want that treasure map. Oh, coordinates for treasure. Okay, cool. right near Albert's, so we're going to Albert's. 'Cause I'm worried about Summer. Negative 58, negative 52. Okay. The fact that Summer won't wake up terrifies me. Check on these sheep real quick. You're good. You're good. Albert! How do I fix Summer? Fix the snake! Oh, if I don't know that face, it's about that house, the green and brown one, right? Have some sort of problem with it, don't you? Yeah, I can see from a mile away. Listen, I know my job, me and the boys were real professionals, and it's not often that we criticize another worker's craftsmanship, but that house, oh wow, it had to be the worst job I've ever seen. So consider this a lesson, don't just trust any old amateur, always go to a professional. So tell me, what complaints does your passenger have? What? She's sleeping? Oh, of course. That bolt head of hers is very sensitive to temperature changes. Imagine how cold she must be. Not to mention her dry and scaly skin. No, she needs a temperature and humidity control system. Luckily, that place was so shoddily designed that there's ample cracks for wiring and electronics. So yeah, there you go. Some plans and schematics for a nice all-in-one HVAC system. Pro quality. Old courtesy. After all, how can you repay your debt if your boat falls to pieces? Gotta get linen, iron, oak, and that spirit flower. Okay. Summer's gonna be okay. Summer's gonna be just fine. Iron and copper. I will make sure Summer's okay. Very worried. Go to the crates. Make sure all the plants are watered, and then I'm going and building the HVAC. I need to get that HVAC done. It's a lot of micromanaging this game, I've noticed. You're not good at micromanaging, the game's gonna be a little difficult. No. I've got copper. valuable goodies out of that. Go to Olga. Give you shellfish. You might have noticed that there's a large empty nook in my house. You know what? We should add a wardrobe. Yes, fancy dresser for your clothes. You don't seem to have anywhere to store your own outfits. This would be a perfect opportunity. What do you think? Give you grilled veggie. Everyone wants something from me. Meanwhile, I'm just trying to save summer. Oi. Okay, we're good. I can watch this for a bit. I hope everyone's doing well. It seems like the wind has died down outside, which is good. Because earlier it was actually flickering the power in the spaceship. I was afraid that it was gonna cause the power to go out. Hopefully this is enough. I fixed Summer's house. Summer!
Still fuzzy. Oh, Stella. I think I might have overslept a bit. How long have you been sleeping? What? That much? Hibernating, you say? Well, I guess it was bound to happen. I might have been ignoring what my body was trying to tell me. Bad habit of mine. Thank you, Stella, for taking such good care of me.
You hungry? Of course you are. Oh. Poor thing. Have a carrot. And then I'm shearing you. Right. I want to talk to you. No, I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Are you already done, sweetie? Alright. See you later then. Shit. Okay. We have ads in 9 minutes, so I'm gonna pause here. That way those who come in are not hit with pre-rolls, and I will see everyone on the other side. welcome back from Ads Ohana. Let's get back into this. I have no idea where the heck to go. Other than to... I think she said Furugawa? I think that's what she said, Furugawa? I was gonna say Fukushima, I'm like, no, that's not right! Oh, I'll go down here to this guy. I'm so glad you're okay, Summer! Would not have been happy if Summer wasn't okay.
Again? Stella, I wanted the dreams, Stella. They're back. So much stranger than I ever thought they could be. The visions. I see them now, even as I am awake. The reefs return into wafts of ethyl-scented smoke. And the rotten fruit formed into the eye of the dragon. Vicious and sickly. And a coil of arduous rust. Another dragon has awoken. He scares me. But suffering cannot be allowed. You would agree, I'm certain. Let's go help it, shall we?
Hey, I get it. You need water. Calm down. I'm watering you. Spike some more iron. Go help this soul. Iron, iron, iron. Leave that for a bit. Shouldn't take too long for this to be done. There we go. Over here. Would you look at that? You're able to find my sister in the village? That's incredible. Is she mad? Don't tell me. If I make it, I'm sure that'll be worth something at least. Thanks again. I'll probably be at the bottom of the ocean without you or my sister's help. Lettuce! Only one head of lettuce from that? Really? You would think you'd get more. Okay. Negative 58, negative 52. Where are we now? Oh, that's all the way down here. Okay. That's the quartz dragon over there. That's a lighthouse. back to the bus stop. Plant some tea seeds. Some more tea seeds. Make sure everything's watered. You're fully fed. You're fully fed. Work on these arc logs. The arc logs that I am no good at. To maybe get one or two perfect, and the rest of them I just screw on. Well. Hi, Alex! We're traveling, buddy! I feel like she's back here at the villa. Even though she said she doesn't like being there, that's where I feel like she's at. Thanks, Alex! You are wonderful! I love you! Best seal right there. Gotta finish this up. Once this finishes, then we'll go to the villa. There we go. Of course, I get here right as it's night time. Stella. Stella! I'm sorry. I'm sorry I even considered doing this. Ending your days in your family house is so cliche to boot. I can't explain myself either. I just wanted to finish it off, you know? Decide on my own terms how I'd go. And not let myself be taken away. When weak, I'm sorry. Oh, the irony. Crap. You're so selfish now. Sometimes I wish I could have been like you. But rarely. Crap. Hold me now. Thank you so much. I needed that. You always pull through. That's what I call a perfect blend of coffee. That hits the spot. So I'm missing a blueprint. I've lost my house because of you. Your friend wasn't using it. It should be mine. I have rights, you know. Now that old shrew kicks me out. Back to being a gardener. But the biggest rub is my house is locked. I'll break that padlock and get my dignity back. Someday. Leave me alone for now. I have work to do. Gwen, do you have the key to the shed? Let the upset man do his thing. Okay. I've work to do. Leave me be. Okay. Come on, Gwen. Back to the ship with you. Let me get my lettuce! One lettuce? Really? That looks like more than one. I'm getting really annoyed because it says one and it looks like it's more than one. Alright, Gwen. Look, these will come as a shock, but I'm ready to leave. I just can't afford this anymore. But it's okay. I know you're with me.
My friend!
Acid! Welcome in, riders. My name is Stitch. I am your friendly non-binary alien demon here on Twitch. I'm also best friends with the Mothman. And I exclusively use they, them pronouns. What were you up to, Acidic? Bring me to the other door where you met Chiron. I'm ready, I think. And if you have to raid and run because you have to take care of some stuff for yourself, please do feel free to do so. I really appreciate you sharing your community with me. So we're going to the other door. Saying goodbye to Gwen. Kind of sad, really. Oh, you don't want exotic, okay. Do you want some tea? You can't have a stimulant, okay. Do you want mushroom salad? Alex! Hi, Alex! We're going to the other door, friend. You're so cute! Okay, you don't need feeding. You don't need feeding. You know, it'd be nice, something to eat. Sure. It's not Friday. It's not Friday. Get out of here. Not Friday. Okay, fair. Okay, here we are, I guess. I guess I have been waiting for that moment to arrive sooner or later. Will you accompany me, my friend? Yes. Thank you. Hi, Gwen. Oh, everyone's coming to say goodbye. We are here. Stella, look. There's something I wanted to give you. I used to hide it in my old music box. I don't know why, but I always felt to me like it was the best hiding spot. Here it is. My old lighter. I haven't thought about this old thing in a while now. Barely works. I stole it off Father when I was 12. Please use it to remember me in the good times, in the bad times. They exist together, intertwined. If there's one thing you've learned from me, it should be that. I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. Seems I couldn't escape it, doesn't it? Me being here now, you know me. I've never been one to dwell on the past, mainly because it always felt overwhelming to me. Like an irrepressible wave of resentment. And even at this very moment, I still wonder. I don't know if I've ever tried to connect, and I've been so sure of it. My opinion just never changed. You know what I've always said? People come and go, but don't pay attention to each other. They never really did. That lives are only ever parallel, adjacent at best. Well, that's bullshit. I can see that now, and you're the proof of it. And not just you, but Mum cared as well, in her own way, and the others here, given the circumstances. Still don't know about Father. I should probably forgive him now. Find that last shred of strength left in me. That make me a better person. Would that make a difference? Maybe. But after all this, I don't think I care. It doesn't matter. Because I had my best friend by my side. I had you. You are a wonderful person, Stella. My life would not have been the same without you. The light you showed me was more than a beacon. It was a guide. Only I was too blind to see it. My shades were too opaque. I'm not crying. I've got allergies. Okay, let's go. I can't hold it any longer. It's allergies, okay? Thank you, Stella. Thank you for bringing me here, even if you didn't want to. Thank you for kicking my butt and shaking my ego. Don't forget that I've loved you as much as I could. Goodbye, my friend. See you there. She's a constellation. promise I'm not crying. Thank you for playing your time. Okay, yeah, I'm crying. We finally meet face to face. For such a long time, I have been watching you, Stella. Close yet far. You've kept your distance, but you knew I was there. Hidden in every shadow. Skulking in every silence. Since the very beginning, I've been a part of you. Even as my existence was but a foreign thought. As your loved ones surrounded you with care and affection, I waited silently. Your joy, your pride, your happiness. Moments of laughter, of bliss, of friendship, gone. I know it feels like just yesterday, but the hourglass has turned, and at last you have found me. Go now, for I have not yet fully awoken. Resume your duties, carry on your graceful dance. We'll meet again, soon, Spiritfarer. Sad. Oh. That's how you get the spirit flower. Beautiful but sad at the same time. Especially because if you've experienced loss, it's hard. Yeah, it's sad, but also in a weird way comforting. I don't know if that makes any sense. Hi Taz, how are you? So what do we do with Gwen's house now? Do we just get rid of it? Or does it just... Does it just stay here? guess so. I guess you kind of keep it as a memory of her. Wondrous. You're spoiling me, Stella. What an incredible piece of furniture. It livens the room so much. Yes, much cozier now. It filled to the brim with clothes and accessories too. You don't know how happy that makes me. Well, what are you waiting for? Jump out of these old dirty clothes. Pick something with some jazz to it. Yeah, I guess you do keep it. There's Iwashima. What's the villa? Need to go to Furugawa. Puzzle doesn't say it's salvageable, so I guess you keep it. I mean, I guess being emotional is a good thing. Oh, goodness. Well, any of the allergy eye drops I used are gone. Cried the heck out. Ah well. I do. Shouldn't be afraid to cry. It's a good thing to cry. You shouldn't suppress your emotions. Especially if a game, even if it's a game that's making you feel some sort of way, you shouldn't suppress your emotions towards anything. It's okay to have emotions and let your emotions show. Interesting choice. Well, that certainly is a modern choice. Very youthful. But what about something more classic? I think there was a nice periwinkle outfit in the bottom of the drawer. Try it on. Fantastic. Oh, sweetie, isn't that so much better? Oh, you look so adorable. I could just eat you up. And there's plenty more for you to try on. Don't be shy. Come over anytime. I always love doing these little fashion shows with my granddaughter. Oh, what is it? You found an envelope in the bottom of the drawer. How peculiar. Well, don't make me wait. Open it. What is it you say? Pictures and letters. Oh, these are mine. How did they even end up here? What a mystery. Look, this is my husband's handwriting. Oh, it's messy, alright. He never was a delicate man, but quite handy and so very loving. And oh, would you look at that? My backyard. See all these trees? Sweet Eugene planted a tree for every one of our children. And then for our grandchildren, we grew apples, cherries, pears. I remember my granddaughter playing in her mother's apple tree. Such sweet memories. Oh, look at me rambling again. Go ahead, sweetheart. I won't hold you back any longer. You hungry? Yeah, you are. Man, these sheep eat so much. Alright. We're here. Let's go down. Gotta go find your husband. Let's look around. That's funny. Is it his cologne that I can smell? This peculiar mix of musk and nonchalance. You missed me crying my eyes out. He must have been here recently. Quick, Munchkin, let's ask around. Thank you for the raid, by the way, though. I do appreciate it. Giovanni, that name? Don't say that name. You almost broke up my marriage. Come here a month ago. Big man, thinking he's the boss. Good thing my wife came to her senses. He apparently didn't like the weather. Good riddance. I'm so happy that my brother made it. I should have stayed in the ocean. A rice patch needs constant nurturing. It's a full-time job. I'd rather eat mangoes and watch the sunset. I mean, other than missing me crying over a character, you didn't really miss much. You know what to do, Stella. Go ahead and confront that horrid woman. Thank you again for your time. Hi there. Makes sense. I can totally understand that. Hello to you too. Doggo and stuff takes priority. Thank you, Theodore. Hello to you too. Oh! Whee! Oh, you're right, that's that guy up there. There you go. Yeah, I'd asked you what you played, but you had just raided and run, so... Taking a shower, I guess, then, Dragon? Ah. What a bust. Sorry, Stella, Oh, damn it. Enough is enough. I'm done wasting my time. I won't be looking for that hoodlum anymore. I don't need him to be happy. I don't need to hear his stupid jokes and incessant yammering. I don't need to be suffocated by his floral cologne. I don't need to have him constantly showering me with praise. I don't need to see his flamboyant mane. I don't... Let's go back to the boat, Munchkin. letter from Olga. To Astrid. Astrid, big news. You'll be glad to know that my sources have finally panned out. I heard my sister Marsha might know something about your husband's whereabouts. You should go and drop in on her. Olga. I've heard we received another letter from Olga. Marsha, you say? She's her sister. She might know something about Giovanni's location. Huh. Okay. Good. Let's go talk to her then. She's, how to put it, special. Me and her. Let's say we've never been friends. And Stella, thanks for playing messenger. You're wonderful. Oh, shit. I'm sorry. I forgot I gave you tea recently. Okay, you don't like fine dining. There you go. Mushroom salad. Oh, southern boil. Okay. Do you want salad? Okay, I only have like fine dining and shit. Have some strawberries. You only like fruits and veggies, so have raspberries. Oh goodness. I don't think I could do it. Now where is Marsha? Lighthouse. Sorry. I can't go there. Oh, she's back there. I need to get the upgrade first before I can go. Well, that's good. I'm glad you got further than you thought. It's always a good thing. But, seeing the time, I'm gonna save here. And I'm going to raid out. Tomorrow is a big day. Tomorrow is the reveal of my 2.0 that's been in the works since last year. I won't be live at 4 like I usually am. I will be live at 5 p.m. Eastern. Because I've got some stuff I have to do before stream. I'm not sure if I'll be playing any games during the reveal or not, but it's gonna be big. But yeah, thank you so much to everyone for the raids. Being your awesome selves, we're gonna go find someone to raid. And I think I do have our raid target picked. We're gonna go raid the official throne channel. But yeah, I will see you all tomorrow for my 2.0 reveal. Remember that you are loved, you are valid, and you matter. Do something to make someone smile today, because tomorrow is not promised and the world's hard enough as it is. Tell someone you love them. I love you, my Ohana. I will see you all tomorrow for the reveal of the 2.0. If you are not subbed, this is your raid message. If you are subbed, this is your raid message. But have a good night, everyone, and I will see you all tomorrow.